Last week I made a video about Gary Vaynerchuk, a core video. Today we're going to talk about him again, but in a slightly different context. While I find his discourse surrounding content creation and the future of content very compelling, I also think he has some interesting ideas about entrepreneurship. About 4 years ago, I attended a talk where Gary talked about the entrepreneurship bubble and how much a company like Uber or any of these startups that just appear out of nowhere and all of a sudden in 3 or 4 years they have a $20 billion valuation work off of a sort of fake economy of investors as opposed to the actual business fundamentals that businesses are typically evaluated off of. These evaluations are given based off of the hypothetical growth and value that they will eventually have. I believe in this video, I'm going to show you a quick snippet. I think he kind of puts the writing on the wall about this type of finance forecasting and how it is, in his own words, a result of us not learning from 2008.
Talk about the current state of startups and venture capital and the whole thing. We're living in the greatest era of financial arbitrage machines, not actual businesses. Everybody's life right now is about CAC and LTV and hitting metrics to get the next fundraising round, and has nothing to do with the end consumer. It's B2B finance game on the back end, and that's why so many people are gonna lose. The youngsters in this audience think it's normal to get somebody to give you money based on your idea at a $4 million or $6 million valuation. That makes me want to punch you in the face. Because for anybody in here who's over 40, that is a ludicrous concept. But that is what happens when there's an enormous amount of money pumped into the system on the back of us not paying the piper properly in 2009 because we're soft as a culture.
I don't consider myself someone who is like massively financially literate in terms of wide-scale economic shifts, but from a cultural perspective, I can say the entrepreneurial mindset and just general, entrepreneurship influencing culture has been massive over the past 15 years. However, we are seeing the end of it at the moment. I think mass kind of like faith lost in crypto through FTX-oriented scams, the SVB stuff, just a collection of events all kind of adding up. We're at a peak sort of, I'm tired of fucking hearing about FANG companies. I'm tired of hearing about your startup called Wag Eats, which is Uber for dogs. I saw that on TikTok as a joke. We're hitting a point where the overarching silliness that has been attributed to money over the past 20 years is starting to become just a little bit too silly to handle, or maybe not silly in a whimsical type of way and more silly in a, fucking this is tiring type of way. I think this all corresponds rather beautifully with something happening in the stars at the moment, which is actually the reason I'm making this video. I was suggested by a friend of the channel, Meme Analysis, that I talk about Pluto entering Aquarius. It's leaving Capricorn and it's entering Aquarius. I think the Gary V quote is so beautiful to me because he talks about how the entrepreneurship bubble is kind of a result of what we saw happening in 2008, which is actually when Pluto entered Capricorn. There's some cool theories about how the past, roughly 16 years, 15 years now, have all been so fucking insane money-wise because of this. So what does it say about what we're about to enter on March 23rd? Well, to me, it is going to be a time of technological change, radical change. I don't think it's a coincidence that GPT-4 is being released right around this time as well. I think the preponderance of content about AI taking jobs, AI changing the economy radically is likely going to take place. I've seen some very, very interesting, uses of it for customer service, for copywriting, for a handful of things. Now, as I've said on the channel before, I don't think this is going to take every job. I think we're going to see people mobilize AI and do more work, but I do think it's going to change things. Now, I think beyond the creation of a job akin to, an AI puppet master who's going to be able to do a bunch of different mid-level white-collar jobs, just typing into AI like, hey, do these taxes, hey, give me 10 super interesting copywriting ideas. I think beyond that, we're going to see a huge focus on the individual and people with taste. That is honestly the prediction I see coming into the future. I think Gen Z already gets this with their fixation on being creators, putting things out on the internet and cultivating these massive personal brands. I think that has really been the blueprint that tends to kind of like break economies in the past, is when, someone like Trump, who I've been reading American Psycho recently, and that book is pretty much, he's talked about constantly in that book. And thinking about the legwork he did from the 80s onward to build such a powerful personal brand to be able to, make it to the White House amidst a For You page and suggestion algorithms full of AI generated thumbnails and perfectly timed videos with all the right beats and pauses for optimal watch time. The only thing that can beat this is sheer persona. It's personality, archetypal alignment with these great characters that we all know and love throughout history. People who just can do it without thinking about it. They just conjure this thing that you want to pay attention to. That is going to be the answer beyond an AI fuckfest that we're also going to see at the same time. We're going to see individuals rise up through the internet who, without even thinking about anything like Mr. Beast's, how can I get your watch time to stay just 5 seconds longer? These people are just going to sit in front of a camera, and because they look like Aphrodite, because they can speak like orators of the past, because they have an intensity, a Martian intensity like Andrew Tate, these are going to be the types of people who are going to basically show how easily we can bend past AI and why the human is still necessary as a hand holding the technology of the impending Aquarian age. These are just a couple of ideas. I'm actually curious. Let's brain meld as a What It Is audience. Curious to hear what you think down below. It is what it is.